6 reasons why the Beaches keeps winning if you're considering the Northern Beaches or wondering why the Northern Beaches is an absolute winner with real estate. Watch this 5 minutes. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Good morning, Mr. Wapshot. How are you this morning?
Good, Mr. Novak. How are you?
Very good, very good, very good. Now, we sat in our sales meeting yesterday and went around the room talking about the future of the next 3, 6, 9 months of real estate on the Northern Beaches, and there was some firm thoughts in the room.
Yeah, definitely. With obviously the latest update yesterday, a 0.25 basis point increase in interest rates, and obviously navigating this landscape with the war going on in Iran and the headlines affect, in front of your sellers and buyers. So definitely an interesting landscape to navigate at the moment.
I was in the car park this morning and a guy, Kian, said to me, he goes, mate, interest rates are up. Now it's time to buy. And I was like, the last time interest rates went up 13%, the prices went up at the same time. And he looked at me and I said, inflation up means economy's strong. And he goes, yep. I go, rates up means economy's strong. He goes, yep. And I was like, the future's bright for property.
Yeah, definitely. It's well, as they say, if your price of your coffee's going up, well, so is your house. So don't cry too much. I know
Interesting.
that you're getting used to the $6-7 coffees these days, but yeah, no, it's definitely. Well, I think we've said over a couple of episodes, this is where we're in a buyer's market, and this is an opportunity for buyers not to miss, where deals that could have been previously quite competitive. Maybe campaigns have got 1 or 2 genuine buyers that are interested in the property. It's a chance to snag up a deal. And what better place to invest in and put your money down than the Northern Beaches?
And it's not cheap, but it is good. It is quality. And last night I was looking online at different parts of Sydney for our kids, and I was thinking, like, what about here? What about here? What about there? And one of the districts I looked at was Eastern Suburbs. I was very surprised how close DY prices were to Eastern Suburbs prices. I was actually shocked. And that's this morning what we wanted to talk about, the 6 reasons the Beaches keeps winning. Because at the moment, there's 6 core reasons why it's going to continue to actually go bananas. What's reason number 1?
Geography, and then obviously land supply being one. Obviously, we're bordered by the ocean. There's no additional supply there. We've got the national park that wraps up behind us. So you're really boxed in terms of, there really is no further land release or supply there. So you're very constrained.
You got a harbour, a national park, and an ocean boxing it in. It's geographically bloody constrained, which is awesome.
Exactly. And when you start to compare that with your places out at Glenmore Park, etc., a lot of people thought that, hey, go invest near the new airport out there. That's your next big growth pocket. But I've had to look over there myself. The amount of, you've got a ton of land there that's just underutilized and waiting to be subdivided, and a whole lot of supply coming in, which is completely different to here in the Beaches. So
I can't say the word unlimited, but I want to say the word unlimited. What's number 2 on our list?
Over the last 40 years, Beaches property has compoundly grown at an 8.5% margin every year, almost doubling every 8-9 years. The last 40 years.
40 years. And I've always wondered what that percentage is, boys and girls. That is the number, 8.5 compounded. per year on each. So every year the 8.5 is on the new number. It's on, and the next year it's on the new number. On the next year it's on the new number. So that's double. That's some serious growth compared to most parts of Sydney. And I guess you could
And
say if it's going to happen the last 40 on these principles, why won't it happen the next 40?
yeah, and more importantly, Mark, that also includes a GFC and
Yeah.
COVID. So,
Yeah.
you talk about,
War,
it's
war, war, recession,
exactly,
rate
which is,
rises.
yeah, exactly right. So it's been tested. It's a large data range, and you see that over a large span of time. The beaches is definitely one that keeps on winning, and keeps ticking those boxes for buyers as a place of residence.
That's huge growth. Next one is the demographics has to be spoken about.
Yeah, demographics. So obviously, your level of schooling over here, infrastructure, demographics, the people living over here. Obviously, the lifestyle of the beaches is attractive to any professional individual. It's something where you've got that accessibility via the B1 to your CBD, but still got that aspect of lifestyle where you're surrounded by a national park, you're surrounded by gorgeous beaches, and generally your demographic here is highly educated, and that leads to obviously a highly educated demographic generally means that they're in jobs that pay good money, or they're on a good wicket of such, and this is where they choose to spend that money on the northern beaches.
Very good schools. And what that means is they don't panic. They don't panic sell in downturns. These are good, wholesome, smart, down to earth people. And when they don't panic sell. So I think that helps create that floor in the market in different economies,
That's a
different
massive
times.
one, massive one. I think that backbone of the fact that the your landowners here are generally strong enough in that they can push through hard times and not needing to offload an asset because things might not be as going as well. That definitely starts to create that downturn or that plateau or trough phase in a lot of markets, because you can't really think of Sydney as a market of a whole. It's a lot of individual markets in amongst the broader New South Wales market. So definitely others are more resilient than others. Your northern beaches, your eastern suburbs. So that ties in with your demographic there. So that's a really big one. The next one we had hard supply cap.
Yeah,
So
so I
that's
think this is number 4 out of the 6. We talked about being constrained physically, harbour, national park, ocean, but that's great for supply and lack of supply, making it a cap. Can you explain that more?
Yeah, so generally around like development, policies and planning restrictions are quite tight here over on the beaches. So that involves things like your setbacks, your the level of sunlight in apartments, all these constraints that they make developers hold to, generally means that a site has to be almost perfect for it to be built or developed in a way. So what that sees then is obviously less developments going through, less developers developing in the area. So then again, tight supply, and we've probably gone over that point quite seriously over the last 3 months as we've seen the cost of construction fly upwards. And like you said, down at Havana, one of the most prominent builders on the beaches, you've gone from how many certificates, 8, 12, 13 certificates, up to 300 for the same development. The only thing that's changed is time. So there's a perfect live example for you guys.
Mr. Toomer's been around that long and he's actually counted the certificates, and he said it's gone from 15 certificates 25 years ago to 315 today for the same size development, which is just phenomenal. Now, number 5 on our list is what we call the lifestyle dividend. Can you explain that, fella? Because that's
Lifestyle.
a big commodity.
Yeah, obviously it's what the beaches offers. It's the lifestyle, it's the community, it's the beaches, it's the funky cafes down at Freshwater, Manly. It's the facilities for sports, it's the parklands, it's the walks along you know, your ocean front. It's the walks through the national park. It really is a lifestyle. You know, you can't be anywhere and get what you get here down on the beaches. So I think that's a big dividend. And as we, you know, it's that shift. You know, I generally see it. I've got entry level homes that around that sort of 2.5 mark, and a lot of the people I'm actually speaking to are people from out west wanting to make the move over. You know, they say, look,
It's a trade up destination.
Yeah, definitely. You know, because they're almost looking at a house at the same price level. They're thinking, hang on, I'm not going to go and spend 2.5, 3 million back here. Let's take something that's a little bit less finished and make the move. So that's always an active point, the lifestyle, and we're very lucky here on the beaches.
I think we've got, you know, COVID and stuff like that, that remote working to thank for that, where people can actually do that trade and go, you know what, I don't need to be 5 minutes from a train line. I can actually work from home a couple of days a week and it gets them there. Final one before we go, we want to speak about there's a little bit of infrastructure that's gone in that a lot of burbs in Sydney have not received. Tell us about that. That's going to help us with pricing as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, whenever we see, you know, no matter what market it is, if there's a big investment into the infrastructure in any suburb, generally you start to see other investment follow. I remember, Mark, you mentioned when we were selling up at French's Forest, one of the builders over the road from the school he mentioned that he's actually got a group of mates that follow him around to his new projects. He does a lot of the schools and government work, and he's got a group of investors that actually follow him around and buy property wherever his next development is, because generally that's where an influx of spending on infrastructure happens. And then over that span, he sees quite a good growth pocket. So, you know, things like the Northern Beaches Council, Forest High, the change over there, you know, the Brookvale structural plan that we're going to be seeing, the LMR, all these sorts of things that's really going to pump the infrastructure for the Northern Beaches and bring, you know, bring a lot of activity along with it, is what I'd say.
Yeah, and like that's big money. Like there's billions. Like I know that Northern Beaches Hospital was $4 billion over I think a 5-year period, that was being pumped into the Northern Beaches economy. You can benefit from that. You know, the doctors moving in, the nurses moving in, the more focus on the beaches, better quality care. If you're living on the beaches for the people on the beaches, it's attractive. And then also the brand new schools, public schools. When do you see a brand new public school go in? And we've just had that happen in French's Forest, and I think that's our top 6. I'm just checking, but yeah, I reckon that's 6 goddamn good reasons to get into the beaches. Should we give it? Do you want a quick summary? Do you want to give us a quick summary on that? So the 6 reasons the beaches keeps on winning are.
Well, generally the geographics, no supply, guys. We can't find any more land. We're constrained in ocean.
Geographic scarcity.
That's it. Number 2, we were at the 8.5% growth. Find me another an asset with the stability of a housing market that returns that sort of returns. And you can
leverage it with a quarter of the cash.
Exactly, and draw out that value without paying tax on it. Mark knows I'm a big investor back in the day in the shares, and wow, so I've seen all types of markets. In terms of growth, that is fantastic, and the stability over that period is probably worth more than its weight in gold. Premium demographics being number 3. Obviously, like we just said, elite schools, hospitals, educated neighbours, everyone's
a hard supply cap, lifestyle dividend, the lifestyle dividend that we offer, and the infrastructure tailwind. They are the reasons that we've expanded on. Share this with your friends and family if they're considering the Northern Beaches. Feel good about Northern Beaches when you hear this sort of information. It's an amazing place.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for this morning. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Josh. Cheers. Bye.